to the New Comic Crusaders podcast, GeekFest Special. Yeah. Today we got an awesome creator. She actually been in the business for a minute, making a lot of stuff for a bit. But she has an awesome project on GeekFest FilmFest that I think everybody's going to love. Obviously, I'm a comic book fan. And this is so comic book themed. It's dope. Let me bring her on screen right now. Wepa! Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you.
How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on and spending some time with us today. Let's talk a little bit about yourself and the awesome film you have put up on GeekFest this year, year 8, which is fire. I enjoyed it a lot. And I was very happy with how even the end credits, because it made me feel like, yeah, I was right. Was I? Let's find out. Well, Vanessa, a little bit about yourself. Like, where you hail from? Where you from?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Minnesota. I grew up in a small town called Hutchinson, which is like if a suburb existed in 60 miles of corn. Actually, that was really great because it was basically like you did meth or you found something else to do. And so me and my friends did movies all through high school.
For that. Really? So,
yeah.
So, all right. So was it the meth that inspired you to do films?
No, it was like, I mean, I think that it's just, it's small town USA and all the good things and all the problems that come along with that. And so one of the problems is boredom. And my friends and I were like in theater together. And actually the guy that's my cinematographer on Midnight Rose, his name's Tristan Corrigan. And we met in high school because he asked me to be in his Star Wars fan film because I was an actress at that time. So that was like how we got started.
Okay, great. So, where are your particular interests lay? When you started doing film, like what gave you that the fever? Like, ooh, did you see something? Or is there something in particular that made you say, ooh, I want to do that?
Actually, the first time that I remember understanding that film was like a job that you could do, I was really young. I was like 8 or 9 and Matilda had just come out. And my parents got me a book about the making of Matilda. And it was very specifically that Mara Wilson, who played Matilda, was allowed to make her character's doll. And she wrote this little paragraph about how she made the doll from like phone books and like magazines and stuff because her character wouldn't have been given like art supplies to make a doll. And I thought that was so interesting. And then it suddenly just occurred to me that like this isn't just this magic thing that happens. Like there are people who do this for a job. And I basically have been interested in film since I could hold like a Barbie and a camera at the same time. So
nice. So when you started your journey, what type of equipment did you start with? Were you familiar? Did you have a team? Did you build
Yeah,
but you like
yeah.
so he's just basically walking around with a camera, just making fun of his family and doing stuff in the backyard.
Yeah, I mean, in high school we had like mini DV cameras that were probably very nice at the time, but now it's like 480p. And we had a group of friends, like I said, that were in theater, and it was like every weekend we would just make a movie. We would write scripts like in school, like in between classes, and they were all, guns and drugs and Star Wars and I think that like all of those sort of early film school things that you try, and some of them were like really artistic and philosophical. Like there was one that was like all set to Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and like so I think we just were like actually deeply experimental. So then by the time that I was an adult and went to film school, I had sort of gotten a lot of that experimentation like out of my system and had actually like done some development towards a style, so that once we really started making movies in proper as adults, we actually had this really great foundation and understanding of how to create a visual language, which I don't think we realized we were building when we were just like running around with cameras. I also was always our editor. I had a Mac, one of the big like blue like fancy 2000s ones, and I taught myself editing, and then that's actually the degree I got in school, is in editing.
Oh, that's awesome. So you really took part of making it happen. Nice.
Yeah. I think that was sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, so how long is the journey so far? and making films since then?
Oh, so, I mean, since high school, longer than I would like to admit. Like 18 years, 18, 19 years making films. Yeah. As an adult, more like 10 years.
That's awesome. And well, what was one of your first films?
The very first film that we completed in high school was called Funko Chunkamunka, and it was like an art piece about like the philosophies of life and existence. And then as an adult, we did a really pretty great feature actually that's on YouTube called He Gave Her His Phone. It was written by a local stand-up comedian in Minneapolis. And that was, I think, the first film that we really like took incredibly seriously. We like paid everyone involved. I mean, just a little bit, but that was the first feature that we made that came to completion that screened in a movie theater. And so that was very, very cool, and a project that was very like, I think just seeing a project from start to finish like that was actually a really invigorating, like inspiring experience. I really love being a driving force behind things creatively. And I think to see that process fully really just lit even more fire under us to keep creating. So
And talk about creating, you submitted an awesome film, in your
thank you.
with Midnight Rose, a totally kick-ass character. So, folks, here I'm going to show you the trailer. Before we even get into that, I do want to know something first.
Yeah.
Are you a comic book fan at all?
I am a huge anime and manga fan, which I feel like you can totally see in Midnight Rose. As I was creating all these films as a high schooler, I think I always was sort of this little fierce feminist, and I never saw like versions of myself in the things that I was consuming. The pink Power Ranger was obviously like my favorite, right? But she's like, there's just her, and like when we play Street Fighter, like I'd always want to be Chun-Li because she's the girl, right? And so when I saw Sailor Moon for the first time, and it's a team of all girls who are the superheroes, was just, my mind was blown, and I really fell in love with that genre that had these really powerful women in it. So yeah, huge anime and manga fan. I'm definitely a fan of some comics, some graphic novels. I think like the whole expanded universe thing is amazing, but I'm so bad at keeping up with it that sometimes I think like the single issue comics that are just so vast escape me a little bit.
It's just the nowadays. The good old one and done stories in one issue. Today, one and then get that one and then get that one. Bro. They break the bank.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Catwoman. So like, Batman Hush and like that kind of series. I love Watchmen, stuff like that. So there's definitely comic books and graphic novels that I really love. But as a genre, I think I'm more in the anime and manga camp.
It's like my daughter. She likes comics, but anime her jam and manga. And with that, folks, just check out this awesome film that's on tour right now.
Please, just show me. I need to see.
Okay, guys. Safe for one more night. If you have anything you want to tell me about what's going on, your secret's safe with me.
Ooh, she is kick-ass. Love that panel right there. And I say panel because you told this story so much like a comic. It was insane. We got so much story packed in 8 minutes. That's what, this is the length. That it felt like a comic book. I was like, oh man, this is pretty fire, yo. I would definitely buy this if it was on the shelves, man. So
I love to hear that.
Yeah, so talk about Midnight Rose, the inspiration behind that, your team behind that, your cast, because Midnight Rose herself was pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, well, so the inspiration behind Midnight Rose was, like I said, coming from that background of really loving magical girl anime, and also I'm a huge like on the other sort of side of things. Everyone will make fun of me because I just love like sad things, like drama and stuff. And so I really love, of course, like the gritty superhero genre. And so I was really interested in what like a gritty realism, like magical girl sort of superhero film would look like. And like, you know, we see these films where it's like Batman, like Spider-Man, and they're like adults for the most part. I mean, it's until the newest Spider-Man, they're like adults making sacrifices. And I'm like, if this was a teenage girl, like what would her sacrifice look like? And that's really where the idea came from. And then I love hearing you say that it like looks like a comic book. I did our storyboards and I drew them out. I mean, like comic panels. So I love to hear that translated. That's great. And like the way we lit it and stuff was really to evoke comic book imagery. So I love hearing that translated so well. And then Calli Medley plays Rose. And just another facet of me and what I do, I'm a director of musical theater as well. And she had been in a musical that I had like just directed. And I was like, that girl should be in movies. You know, she just stood out so much working with her on stage. And she's a really strong dancer. So when we imagined this like big fight scene that takes place at the beginning, it was like, so she's going to be able to, you know, learn fight choreography.
Yeah, for it, for sure, to get it done, because I wanted to mention that I like that choreography. Well done. Well, you know, the placement, the audio, sound effect, everything was just done very well, you know.
Yeah, and the guy who played the monster was actually our fight choreographer. And so also I just love the juxtaposition, and that's Lee Fillingsness. He's great. He does a lot of work here in the Twin Cities. Also, I just love the contrast of like, she's like literally 5 feet tall and he's like almost 7 feet tall. And I just wanted to see this like tiny girl kick this giant monster's ass. So yeah, and I mean, casting wise, everyone else obviously was fantastic as well. You know, the people playing characters at the school and the parents, Anthony, Talrico, and Abigail are both people that I collaborate with a lot. As I said, you know, our cinematographer was my friend Tristan Corrigan, who I have been making movies with since high school, but he actually took this really long hiatus because he was in the Navy. And so this was the first film that we made together after like 8 years of like not working together. So
thank you for your service, brother, and doing a job with Vanessa.
Yeah, and basically every film we've worked on since then, like we're working on it together. So that's been really awesome. Yeah, I mean the process of making the film was crazy. It was a really efficient shoot. We shot it over the course of like 1 weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, and just really went in with all of our ducks in a row, and everybody, you know, I feel like I honestly just have the best team of people around me. Like I said, a lot of those people are people that I regularly do collaborate with, and this project was actually the start of a lot of those collaborations. James Elins, who like plays one of the police officers, now has been in like 4 or 5 films for me since then. One of the gals who's like an extra in the school went on to be like the star of a film I did later on. So just, yeah, I think I just have a really great team of people who really believe in creating art. You know, a lot of them, it's not their job. It's, you know, they have like day jobs and then they come and do this amazing work with me. And I'm really grateful for, I think, the level of commitment and professionalism that these people bring that they really don't have to. And then the other shout out that I definitely want to give is the music of the film. A lot of it is from a band called Psychic Revival, and I did a music video for them I think a year or so before we did this film. And you know, they gave me like their CD that music video was from, and it was actually like I was like listening to the music like while I was drawing out these panels, especially that first fight. And so getting then to use that music to edit to and to create the visuals to was just awesome. So shout out to Psychic Revival for being such willing participants in the storytelling, and definitely check out their music if you can. It's really great.
That's awesome. So, you know, before we move on any further, let's show some love to GeekFest, because that's where, you know, a lot of people could watch the film now.
Yes.
And enjoy the heck out of it like I did. So below, shout out to you, and obviously GeekFest. Yo, check this out, folks. This is where you got to go. I love that. I love that music there. It gets me amped. So right there, folks, check it out, geekfestla.com. Make sure to go visit the website so you can know where and when you could actually, you know, participate in watching the amazing film that Vanessa has created in Midnight Rose. And of course, not just hers, but all the many awesome creators, you know, that he scared the hell out of me.
Oh, he's very loud for such a small dog. I just also wanted to thank GeekFest for including us. And I love niche film festivals. I think that they're so underrated, like getting to go and see a bunch of things in that same genre, in that same, because I think anytime you have a bunch of films around one subject, it's so cool to see the different like approaches that people take and like all the different ways there is to tell like a geeky story, right? And so yeah, definitely to everyone listening, check out GeekFest. I've been kind of keeping an eye on what's been screening, and it's way cool. So
there's been tons of great films, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of different takes, and you know, different stuff used, equipment. You know, even one of our fellow Crusaders has a film up there, you know, that he shot on film.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, what did you use? What type of equipment did you use for Midnight?
So Midnight Rose, we shot on a Blackmagic Ursa Mini, which is a great little camera. It's really versatile in terms of like it shoots on tripod beautifully, obviously, but unlike Red and some of the really big cameras, we were able to do shoulder mount for the fight scene, right? And I think it's so important that fight scenes move. And you know, you can do shoulder mount with a Red, but like it's like, you know, 30 pounds once you put all the batteries and stuff on it. So I think having a smaller camera that really allowed our camera operator to like move with the fight was a really great thing, and a really great opportunity in using the Blackmagic Ursa Mini. So yeah.
So, you know, with Midnight Rose, the way that it ended for me, I was like, okay, are we gonna get more Midnight Rose? Is there anything more down the pipeline for her? What's going on? I'm very interested.
Well, it's really funny actually, because there were also, and like I guess I don't know how much I'm supposed to like spoiler or not, but there were a bunch of people that were like, is it real or is it like her way of dealing with something that's really going on with her parents? And like it was really important to me that was like, no, it's real. Like she is a superhero. This is really what's going on. So the ending really was the way of like solidifying this is not some scenario in her head. This is really what's going on. And we've definitely talked about doing like a Midnight Rose web series. You know, we're still in good contact with Calli, who played Rose, and definitely kind of discuss some ideas for that. It would, it's so tough because she moved to New York like shortly after we did this project. So we'd have to like fly her out for it. I don't think it's entirely off the table because I think it's such a great universe and it would be so fun to explore more of her and more of like some of the rest of what's going on that you really don't have time to fill out in a short. So I don't think that's off the table.
See, that's what I'm saying. For like a comic book, because we get an opening, we see this, villain she's fighting, but we're not getting much story on this villain. So okay, who are these people? Wait a minute,
right? Where's this guy coming from?
Exactly, and we get her powers from because I like that joint, man. Listen, you thought Negan was crazy with a bat. You ain't seen.
I do want to say too, for real, that bat was on fire for most of those shots.
Well, there really was.
Yeah, there's like a couple of them that are composite because they were swinging like so close to the other character. But for a lot of that fight, that's just really a bat that's on fire.
It's well done. Yeah, the effects. I even like the makeup on the villain too.
Yeah.
I mean, lost art nowadays. Everybody wants to go digital. Not trying to diss digital.
No,
all the face makeup and all. I mean, you know what I mean? He looked great. He looked very, antagonizing. Like, okay, brother. I mean, again, I would have hid behind Midnight Rose myself. Like, hey, baby, take care.
Yeah.
Take care, master, please.
Shout out to Summer Rose on that makeup. She's Tentacle House on Instagram. All of her work is amazing. She's a makeup artist I work with on lots of film, but yeah, that design was all her. So yeah,
awesome job, yo, for real. Yeah, I have a middle brother that's all about makeup and cosplay, if you will. So
that's awesome.
We appreciate that because he does great makeup himself, and me and my wife together team up. Together, we've done some awesome jobs.
Love that. Love that.
On that. My daughter needs to be in a horror movie because she's all about that.
Yeah, amazing.
A horror movie actress, all right, All righty. So, what else is in the pipeline though for the overall Oxford Comic Films? I mean, do we have other stuff in the pipeline, in the works that we're going to see other types of submissions?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a film called Lucky Strike that is an homage to 70s cinema that's making kind of the festival rounds right now and has been doing really well. That one is another one that I might submit to GeekFest next year because we've been enjoying being a part of them so much this year. And we're actually making a sequel to that right now called Lucky Strike 2, Lucky in Love. And it's just more 70s goodness. So that's been great. We have a couple. So the Midnight Rose was made for the Z-Fest Film Festival, which is a Minnesota film festival they do every year. It's a competition locally. We did 2 Z-Fest films this year, one called Unfortunate Necessity that's about 2 assassins who are friends and they end up on opposite sides of a hit. And then one called A Line of Verse, which is a one take following 2 actors rehearsing for Taming the Shrew. And then our big project this year is we are gearing up to make a feature-length horror film in September. It's called Sins of the Father. You can find it on Facebook. We have a website, sinsofthefatherfilm.com. And that one is about a woman named Sarah and her son Aiden. And they are going back to sort of the family home after his estranged father has died. And they're getting it ready to sell. And then, of course, the sort of cultivated community that they left behind is not so eager to let them go. So that one is, like I said, filming in September. It's feature length. It's a horror. We're really, really excited for that. We just had our first read through last night. Our cast is great. So that one's going to be really, really great. We're really excited about that.
Times, Vanessa. Shout out. Woman in charge, kicking ass.
Thank you.
Love it. This is great. So, all right. So, folks, I've been sharing here. I want to thank you for your time, Vanessa. This is a great film. So, folks, please go visit the GeekFest website. But first, before you even do that, I want you to go follow Vanessa, her company at Oxford Comic Films at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as you see below. And, of course, you can also visit the website, oxfordcomicfilms.com, to learn all about Midnight Films and all those other awesome projects she's working on, so you can stay tuned of where and when you can see that. All right. So, is there anything I missed?
No, this was so great. Thank you so much. I love a good interview. You're a great interviewer. I'm so excited, like I said, for Midnight Rose to be part of GeekFest. I'm just so excited for more people to see it. And I guess this is something you didn't ask for, but I'm gonna give advice to anyone who wants to make a film.
There's
always a million reasons not to do something, and it just takes one to do it. So if you don't see the kind of content that you want, like, create it. I'm such a strong believer in that. So
you're preaching to me, because I always like to say, don't beg to be in the club, form your own club.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I think that, like, the artistic community only gets better the more voices that are a part of it. So I just think, like, make a movie, do it. It's great. It's, worst comes to worst, you lose a little money and a little time, and you got to say that you, like, did something. So.
Yes. I love that, exactly, because I love when people try to talk smack to others, but then the first question should be, what are you doing?
Right.
If they ain't doing nothing, who are you to tell me anything? Shut up.
Exactly. Like, get out there and do it.
Awesome. Vanessa, you were fun to have on. Thank you so much. Good luck in all these endeavors, and you're more than welcome back to talk about these new films when they're ready to go and where we could check them out, especially horror films, because I love them. So.
Oh my God, I would love to talk more about the horror film sometime. It's going to be a great project. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic day, and good luck with your other interviews and stuff today.
Thank you. And there you are. Make sure to visit comiccrusaders.com, undercovercapes.com, and obviously GeekFestLA.com. Stay tuned for all the awesome films. And with that, I'm out. Wepa! Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.com. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.